Anita here and welcome to day 12 of the Inktober challenge. Today's theme is let's do it quickly. I've attempted that theme or this theme yesterday. However, I'm not exactly sure if that was a success. So I'm actually attempting it again today. And I'm also playing a little bit more with different camera angles. I'm using my iPhone for it. It's a little bit of a... Yeah, it's just an adjustment. I will keep practicing. You know, it takes me a while to learn stuff. Especially when it's this kind of stuff. Everything for me is a trial and error. And so, you know, eventually it will become like my second nature, like normal recording is. But for now, it's so weird. It's really weird to remember different angles and to remember that I actually don't have to bend away from the camera, because that's the reason why I'm putting it there, so I don't have to. It's just so weird. But it's working. I'm actually really pleased with how it came out. As you can see here, I'm recording the lines from a different angle. And there is a difference between the footage quality, of course, but it's not... I can accept that, you know, and so, you know, that's that. That's pretty much that. I'm not going to be, like, changing camera of, like, my regular camera is on a tripod, and that tripod is just stuck behind my desk. It's leaning under a windowsill, so that it's just, you know, it's just leaning there. It's not gonna go anywhere. And I don't have a second tripod, so this thing has to stay there. So that's my main camera, and then, you know, the phone will have to do for my second camera until at least I get tired of it. But for these kind of videos, daily ones, I think it actually adds a lot of detail, and I'm very happy to experiment with it. So I hope you guys don't mind that there's a little bit of a difference in footage or whatever. One thing I've learned is actually how to color correct the video. Something I've never done before, because my regular camera records just regular. My regular camera records just as if it was daylight, so it's white, while my phone camera records with a yellowish tint, which I don't really mind. However, one of these footages has to decide what color it wants to be, because it can just jump from, you know, white to yellow and whatever. So I've learned how to color correct my video. I like that. I like learning something new. And so you can see me here in the background doing the thing that I've actually never done on camera before, and that's lining, adding the edges of the ink wash before I fill in the big space. Because like I've said before, I had to really concentrate on adding that detail because it's just something, you know, it's black on white. It has to be nice and neat and even, and I have to have my nose in the paper to do that. So it was actually really nice to be able to record that. I think I was really, really pleased today. So as I've mentioned, the theme of this picture is, you know, I want to do it quickly. It's just, I want to really, really do it quickly because I had things to do this morning. So I really don't want to keep sitting into the middle of the night. I want you guys to get your video early. So I've decided on this very simple idea, and it's just a witch hugging an owl, and she's wrapped in a blanket, and they're, I don't know, floating in space. You decide. They're just sitting somewhere. Excuse me. And so the idea was simple. I didn't want to do anything special about the background. I didn't plan on experimenting with anything. I've just decided, you know what, I'm just going to do same old, just filling in the spaces with flat washes, adding a little bit of pattern here and there. And then, while I was actually filling in this space, I thought, you know what, why not make the owl shiny? why not? You know, because it just can't be same old. It has to be something new every day. And the other side of my head was like, Anita, you really, really want to do it quickly. You don't want to play around with it. But of course, the creative side, oh my god, the creative side of me won, and I've decided to make the owl shiny. But to have a compromise, kind of, between the logical side and the creative side, I've decided not to do anything new, technique-wise, like nothing. Everything I'm doing here I've done before. I'm just using it in a different way. So I'm not trying out any new way of adding detail, of any new technique with the ink. I'm just working with simple washes, adding simple shading, and then using just a little bit of a fine liner, white gel pen for the white detail, for the shiny bits. And so actually I finished this painting quite fast because I've started it at 1. I was late. I planned it to start at 11, but I was late. And so I've started it at 1, and I was panicking because in my head, oh my god, I'm going to finish it at 5 again. And it's going to be late again, and I'll have to wait for the video to render. I wasn't exactly in the best mood when I started this painting. But I have to say that while I was working on it, and just everything was going so smoothly. I don't know what it was, if it just because I wasn't overthinking anything. I was just really trying to have it done. Maybe because I didn't listen to anything in the meantime. I really am not sure, because often, when I settle on listening to one podcast or a video, and it's long enough, that I will just listen to it through the whole process. But once that one video finishes in the meantime, I'm actually spending quite a lot of time trying to find something new and interesting to listen to, because I don't know, it's just how it is. So the fact that my camera was busy, my phone was busy because of the camera being used, and I couldn't pretty much listen to anything. I was sitting in complete silence, which is unusual. It was not only very, I was resting while painting. I was really resting, and everything was going so fast. It was just a very, very nice painting session. I'm very happy. And I finished this painting in about 2.5 hours. While I'm recording this, it's now 4:30. So it's, I think 2.5 hours, and then the editing. Editing took a little bit longer today, just because of the things I've mentioned before. It will take me a while to learn exactly what I want to do, what I have to do with the footage from new camera. So the one thing I've done for the owl is I've decided to leave it white. That's not something I do a lot. Usually I will add the shiny with the white gel pen. But here I've decided to actually revert the whole owl and add just minimal shading to add a little bit of shape to it. It's very light. And at first I was very nervous about it because it's something I don't do. I don't do that. But I really wanted I wanted the owl to be shiny. I really wanted the whole side of the character, of the witch, to be illuminated by the owl. And so the owl had to be very, very light. So I've decided, you know what, why not just make it, why not white? Why not just leave it white? It's not like I'm risking anything, okay? The only thing that might happen is that at the later stage, I'm going to add a little bit of color to it to even it out. That's all. So I left it white, and I've decided to, like I've mentioned, to have the character really, really white, like really light colored, and illuminated from the side of the owl. And I really was kind of wary of the same problem I've encountered well, or rather the mistake I've done with the night painting, with the traveling witch, because I've added a bit too much contrast. So I kind of imagined this also to be not really a night scene, but I wanted the owl to have a very soft light. I wanted the illuminating effect to be very soft, not really anything too high in contrast. So I took my time actually with this, but it even though I was taking my time and I wasn't rushing anything, it's still, because I was using mostly the water brush and I wasn't really using any gradients, it took quite fast to finish this. I was very, very surprised when I looked at the time, and it wasn't really late, so I'm very happy. And so the biggest problem here was for me, I think, the hair. I didn't want to add too much contrast to the hair because it's a very, very weird, fluffy hair. I kind of imagined it. If any of you guys know ball jointed dolls, there is a type of wig that comes on those dolls, and it's made from this, I think it's mohair. It's a very, very fluffy fiber kind of thing, and it almost doesn't like reflect light. It always looks so matte to me and very soft, like almost like wool. And so this is the kind of effect I wanted to achieve here. Just very, very soft hair, almost matted, without very... I don't know how to explain it, but if you have very shiny hair, it's usually very smooth, so that the shine can reflect. But in this case, there was just nothing to reflect off on the hair. I am rambling, sorry. So now I'm adding a little bit of detail. And as I've mentioned before, I wanted to have some delicate patterns here and there. And I've decided to use, is it called plaid? Kind of like a plaid pattern on the blanket. And I'm using my Pitt pens for it because I don't know, it was just easier for me. I had to wrestle a little bit with this because the lighter pen is just a tad bit too light for this color, for the blanket color, and the dark pen is a bit too dark, so I had to kind of layer the pen. You can see me going over the lines a lot just to layer the color and then make the intensity a little bit, make the color a little bit darker. Oh, the value darker, I don't know. But because what I wanted to do later on, and you will see me doing it in a little bit, I wanted to add a little bit of detail to every cross of that plaid, just that darker little rectangle. And it's a very simple pattern, but it adds a little bit of interest, and I was extremely happy with it because it wasn't overwhelming, because it's almost the same value as the blanket itself. But it added so much, at least in my eye, to the whole picture. It made everything look so cozy. And then I've also realized that this shade of the Pitt pen I have, I'm not exactly sure what the shades are. I think it's just like a medium gray. Let's call it a medium gray. And that medium gray was a perfect color, perfect shade to add a bit deeper. Oh my god, I can't concentrate. To add deeper shadows. And here you can see me switching the pens a lot because I'm actually diluting that darker pen. It's just because it was so close to the lighter area. I didn't want the dark to become, too overwhelming. And then I'm adding a bit more extra shadow to the dress, because the dress is not technically white. It's just, I didn't want it to be white, but I didn't want to darken it too much because, I wanted it to be really illuminated. And so I'm adding last shadows to the hat, last shadows to the dress, and then I've decided to add a little bit of a pattern to the dress itself. It's not exactly I'm much more satisfied with the tartan. Oh no, why tartan? With the plaid. Okay, with the blanket pattern. You guys know what I mean. I'm a bit more satisfied with the blanket pattern, but it's just because it's not bad. I just think I could have done it a bit better. It was good up until the moment I've added some extra thin stripes across the thicker stripes, and I realized that it was just overdone at that point. But of course I stuck through it and I finished it. It looks good overall. I think it just, it's a pattern. It adds to the coziness that I wanted to achieve, but it could have been planned a little bit better. Always plan your patterns. I should have drawn that before, because this was straight from my head. I should have drawn it on a spare piece of paper just to plan it a little bit more. I'm going to fill in the mug off camera because I forgot about it completely. Through the whole process, I kept forgetting about the mug. It was so weird. But the character is now almost done. I'm just finishing the details, adding a little bit of a shadow to the pattern, adding a bit of a lace at the bottom. And then I'm moving on to the white details, which are supposed to bring everything together. So I want to add a lot of shiny dots around the owl and kind of like make them more concentrated around the owl and then kind of floating a bit, how do you call it, sparse, the further away they go. And it's just a matter of, I keep adding dots until it feels good. That's pretty much all there is to it. I just keep adding it around. I'm adding a little bit of glow to some parts of the character as well. So you can see it on the blanket, and I will be adding it also to the hat. Just to make the contrast a little bit bigger or higher. And that's pretty much the last step to it. And for me, usually adding the white details is just what brings it all together. It's just that last, because in my head those white details are there from the beginning, but I can't add them until everything is finished. And so until the very end, I'm not certain if the image I have in my head is the one that, that should be on the paper, if it will look the same. But I am very, very pleased with how this picture came out. I love the owl, I love the character, they look so cozy together. So yeah, that's pretty much it for today, guys. I hope you've enjoyed this. And thank you so very much for watching. I will see you guys tomorrow. Bye!